People take their hummus seriously. Almost every passionate hummus aficionado I've spoken to claims the best hummus can only be found in their home country. But who makes the best hummus in the world? We're gonna find out. Eating hummus is like a religious experience. I haven't had a religious experience having a legendary hummus. My goal in this series is to first figure out how to make that type of hummus and then simplify the process so that you can make the best hummus at home. Hummus is made all over the world and each country makes it slightly differently than the next. According to New Lines magazine, the strongest evidence now points to Syria as the origin of hummus. Quick Google search, you'll find that the results for the best hummus is usually found in Israel, where Palestine and Lebanon come in as close runner-ups. Traditional hummus is made with chickpeas, tahini, which is a sesame seed puree, lemon juice, olive oil, and garlic. I make and sell a lot of hummus for my restaurant, but it's not like classic Middle Eastern hummus. I really like my hummus, and so do my customers, and they'll usually say something like, "Really good hummus. It's different." When I created my hummus recipe, I preferred a less creamy version, a more chunky version, something that gets your teeth involved a little bit. In some cultures, a hummus like that, it's not silky smooth, it's almost taboo. But here in America, we're the kings of injecting taboo into century-old classic recipes, making hummus renditions like roasted red pepper hummus, roasted pine nut hummus, caramelized onion hummus. Why stop there? How about some barbecue hummus or the inevitable future classic buffalo hummus? So we think we know hummus, but do we? The world's largest manufacturer of hummus is Sabra. Commercial companies like Sabra have set the stage for the expectation for what hummus tastes like. Kind of like Caesar salad. Most people have never tasted a traditional Caesar salad. It's nothing like what you experience from a bottle of Caesar salad dressing. I promise. I needed to find this elusive, mind-blowing hummus, and I figured I would start in New York. The 2015 Dish of the Year was won by Chef Michael Solomonov, and it was hummus. In 2016, he opened Dizengoff Hummus Restaurant in the Chelsea market, but it closed its doors in 2018. There is also a Dizengoff in Philadelphia. Hallelujah! But it too is closed right now. In 2020, he opened Laser Wolf in Philadelphia, serving charcoal grilled blasted Israeli fare. Condé Nast Traveler included Laser Wolf on its list of the best new restaurants in the world in 2021. The New York Times deemed it one of the most exciting restaurants in the United States. In mid-2022, he opened another Laser Wolf in Brooklyn. And I'm still trying to get reservations. I'm on a waiting list. From uptown to downtown, I searched high and low, and I went to at least 10 establishments famous for their hummus. All of them were given outstanding reviews on Google. They were all good. I tried Israeli, Lebanese, Egyptian, and Syrian hummus, and they all had their own nuances. For the most part, they ranged from average decent hummus to above average. The only one that really stood a head above the rest was a small, unassuming place called Omar's in the financial district. It was really good, but as they say, good is often the enemy of the best. I still wanted to have something mind-blowing. A trip to the Middle East was not a risk I was willing to take, but I remembered a show on Netflix called I'll Have What Phil's Having, and according to Phil Rosenthal, Paris's #1 selling street food is falafel, and if there's good falafel, there should be some good hummus nearby. Paris I could do. Can you imagine, like, the world's best hummus is in the airport lounge? So I figured if I'm gonna go to Paris, might as well go first class.
Good afternoon, sir. May I see your boarding pass, please?
For this seat? To my disappointment, the hummus I had in Paris, like in Manhattan, was just decent.
What if this is as good as it gets?
I dined at a fabulous Israeli restaurant in Paris called Shana. Shana is a sister restaurant to Michelin star restaurant Shabour. My son's friend Eviatar works as a chef at Shana, and Shana doesn't have a set menu. For the days I was in Paris, hummus unfortunately and ironically was not on the menu. The first tip Eviatar gave me was about his favorite brand of tahini.
In my opinion, the best tahini in the world. It's called Tahini al-Barha.
I was happy to see that it was available in the United States, so I bought some. Check. Could I find Chef Michael Solomonov's hummus recipe online? Sure enough, there it was on the Food Network website. His recipe was also in his James Beard award-winning cookbook, Zahav, A World of Israeli Cooking. In it, he recommended the Soom brand of tahini, and it was available on Amazon. Check. After much research, the best tahini, which could arguably make or break hummus, is made with Ethiopian sesame seeds. There it was in print in his book, Soom, tahini made from Ethiopian sesame seeds. Eviatar also mentioned that the best tahini is made in a stone grinder.
Which they're using a very high quality sesame and the stones that's been, I think, 100 years old of making.
It's stone ground.
Yeah, it's stone ground.
And this is made with Ethiopian sesame seeds?
Yes.
What if Soom was processed in a giant food processor? Could tahini taste better if you make it fresh in a melanger? I had to try to make my own tahini. Do you know how hard it is to find Ethiopian sesame seeds in the United States without having to buy like 1,000 pounds at a time? Hard! After a lot of searching, I was able to get some from thespiceshack.org. Now all I needed was a stone melanger. Stone melanger for sesame seeds. There's no way I'm spending $600.
8 hours later.
Freshly ground Ethiopian seeds, check. So I have my homemade tahini from freshly ground sesame seeds here, Soom, which is what Chef Michael Solomonov recommends, al-Braha tahini, which is what Eviatar recommends, and I also purchased this one from Pepperwood Organics. It too is made from Ethiopian sesame seeds and it's organic. One other element that can make or break tahini is the garlic. I will be using organic garlic cloves. Inside the garlic clove is a green germ and it can be bitter. I'm gonna make Chef Michael Solomonov's recipe using 3 tahini brands and my homemade tahini. Then I'm gonna pick the best tasting one and make it again, but with the wheat germ removed from the garlic. Let's see if these different tahinis have a different taste. I cannot believe this.
So I finally got a reservation at Laser Wolf and excited to go.
So far, the best and most unique hummus and delicious hummus that I have ever had in my life is the recipe used at Laser Wolf. Hands down. But let's see if we can make it better. The basic recipe we're using today for all of the variations of hummus we are making was shared by Chef Solomonov with Food Network and cross-referenced with the book Zahav, A World of Israeli Cooking. A link to the recipe is in the description for one portion, and one portion is huge. If you're not gonna be serving a lot of people, and I mean like 8 to 10 people, or if you're not gonna be eating hummus all week, I suggest you do a quarter or a half. Here I am making quadruple the amount, 1 for each tahini. First, the chickpeas needed to be soaked overnight at room temperature with half the baking soda in the recipe and plenty of water. They should be doubled in volume by morning. Drain and then rinse them under cold water. Place the chickpeas in a large pot, add cold water to cover by at least 4 inches with the other half of the baking soda. Bring the chickpeas to a boil over high heat, skimming off any scum that rises to the surface. And you're gonna have to do this a few times throughout the cooking process. Continue to simmer until the chickpeas are completely tender, about 1 hour. Then simmer them a little more. The secret to creamy hummus is overcooked chickpeas. Don't worry if they're mushy and falling apart a little. While the chickpeas are cooking, let's make the basic tahini sauce using Soom, al-Braha, pepperwood, and my homemade tahini. Break up the head of garlic with your hands, letting the unpeeled cloves fall into the blender. Add the lemon juice. Add the salt, half of the cumin. Blend on high for a few seconds until you have a coarse puree. And you want to let that mixture stand for 10 minutes so the garlic can mellow. You want to pour that mixture through a fine mesh strainer, set it over a large mixing bowl, pressing on the solids to extract as much liquid as possible. I divide the garlic and lemon mix into 4, add the tahini to the bowl along with 1 teaspoon of salt and a 1/4 teaspoon of cumin, and you want to whisk this until it's smooth. When the tahini seizes up or tightens, add ice water bit by bit, about 1.5 cups total. Whisk it energetically until you have a perfectly smooth, creamy, thick sauce. Now, I gotta be honest with you, I wasn't about to do this 3 more times by hand, so I used my Thermomix. My Thermomix allows me to create recipes so I could control the speed of the blending mode to mimic me whisking by hand. I'm gonna show you how to make tahini sauce in a Thermomix in an upcoming episode. Before we actually get to finish the hummus, I want to taste the tahini sauce on its own. I want to see if I could tell the difference in the flavors. So this one here is the Soom, and you know, this is what Michael Solomonov really likes. Let me see how that tastes. That's very creamy, a little sweet. Sometimes a tahini will have very, very strong bitterness to it. That's really, really good. Next one up here is the Harbracha. That's the one that Eviatar recommended. Said that it's a staple in Israel. Let's see what that one's all about. So that has a lot more stronger sesame seed flavor. Not bitter, but definitely you can taste the sesame seeds a little bit more in that. And this is the organic, the pepperwood. See what that tastes like. That's like a nice balance. It's almost like a cross between the Habracha and the Soom. And then this one's mine. This is the one I made from the Ethiopian sesame seeds. Let's see if that's any good. It's really good. It's really, really good. It's gonna be close. This tastes less toasty. I'm not sure if these were made with toasted sesame seeds. They all seem to be roughly the same color. Maybe they toast them slightly. Maybe there's a proprietary secret where they let them ferment a little bit, or maybe they let them sprout. Let's see what they taste like in the hummus, or hummus, however you want to pronounce it. The secret to creamy hummus is overcooked chickpeas. Drain into a sieve and press gently to remove excess water. I left them in the sink until I could no longer hear drips. Then I divided all those chickpeas into 4 amounts by weight, 1 for each recipe. Combine the chickpeas, basic tahini sauce, 1 teaspoon of salt, and a 1/4 teaspoon of cumin in a food processor. Puree the hummus for several minutes until it's smooth, thick, and uber creamy. Then scrape the sides down and puree it some more. Just make sure the food processor isn't getting warm. If it does, let it cool before continuing to puree. When you serve hummus, you want to spread the hummus into a shallow bowl, top it with parsley, dust it with paprika, and add a generous pour of olive oil. A really good olive oil. If you've made the hummus ahead of time and refrigerated it, let it come to room temperature and beat it well before serving it to restore its smooth, creamy texture. So I created the recipe 3 additional times, each one of these 3 brands of tahini, and my made from scratch Ethiopian sesame seed tahini. All right, so what I did here was off camera, I labeled the bottom of the plate. Oh, now I know that one, which one that is. I actually mixed them up so I wouldn't have any idea where they are, and really it doesn't matter. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not sponsored by any of these brands of tahinis, and so none of this really makes a difference to me. I want to find out, just like you, which one of these hummuses actually is the best. So let's start. We'll start with this one. Now, I used the same olive oil for each one. I used the Hussery olive oil, which was my favorite olive oil in all of California. Happens to be one of my favorite olive oils of all time. Added that to this, just a little bit of Hungarian paprika from Hungary. Someone went and brought me some back, so it's really, really good. And the same organic parsley. So let's see what this one tastes like. So the creaminess is spectacular. Very light. With as far as the sesame flavor is concerned, it's there. It's not bitter. It's smooth. It cleanses your palate nicely. Feels good in your mouth. It's making my mouth water. The olive oil is really, really adding some beautiful flavor to it and aromas. When I had it at Michael Solomonov's restaurant, Laser Wolf, he actually dusted it with za'atar on it's a spice blend from Israel, which I want to make on the show. And the flavor was different, but the texture is the same. So he's really nailed it texture-wise. I do like this one a lot. Let's see, put that aside. So we'll make that number 1 now out of 0, out of 1. Try this one. Again, just really, really good hummus. I actually like this one better than this. This is a little stronger. Again, same mouthfeel, almost everything identical. This one tastes a little bit more like the tahini's a little stronger. So far this is the winner. I'll set this one aside. I'll make that one number 2. Let's see what we got here. This is getting really, really challenging. And I am taking little pauses here in between tastes, drinking a little bit of water in between. I think I like this one better than this one. Again, the sesame is there, but not terribly strong. I'm gonna leave this one as number 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And last but not least, that just jumped up to number 1. All the flavors blended super nicely with this one. I'm not sure which one this is, but this one definitely became number 1. So the order is 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see which one I like the most. Oh, let's go see which one I like the least. Mine. Mine is the one I like the least. That's good, because now you don't have to go through the hassle of buying a melange and making your own tahini seeds, so that's good. This number 3 is the pepperwood. That was number 3. Number 2 was the abraha. And Soom, S-O-O-M. That was hands down the best one out of all of it. This was my favorite. And again, how do you argue with a Michelin star chef when they tell you that this is the right tahini that you use for hummus? You use it. This was truly an experience for me, and I learned an enormous amount about getting closer to earth-shattering, mind-blowing hummus. And I'm thankful that I went through this process, but I'm not sure, as a home cook, you would be really happy to make hummus this way. I'm gonna work on a simpler recipe using more standardized ingredients, see if it actually makes a difference. Maybe organic canned chickpeas wouldn't make that much of a difference in the taste. The key to really, really good hummus is the temperature of the hummus. And that's a bit of a challenge, especially in the restaurant industry, where by law, we have to keep it at refrigerated temperature. Hummus should be served at, like these, at room temperature. So if you want to make hummus and store it, you got to go through the process of warming it up a little bit so that all the flavors could come through and the texture could come through. And this took a long time, so I want to figure out a way of making it easier for you to do. And that's what I'm gonna do in upcoming episodes. There's also another process where you de-germ the garlic. You take the center of the garlic out, and that supposedly eliminates some of the bitterness and changes the flavor of the pureed garlic. So we're gonna experiment with that. If you have a way of making hummus that you like, leave a comment down below. Hit that subscribe button, watch one of these videos here. It'll take you to another part of my channel, and I really appreciate you tuning in. Come back. Cheers.